welcome back to part 2 of Canning Emergency. In the previous video, I had told you that one of our freezers had somehow went off and we almost lost a bunch of venison and chicken. The first video was how we preserved the venison. Now I'm going to show you several different ways to process our chicken. We took 2 of our meat chickens that we had to take out of the freezer, put it in a roaster. So this is after I've picked it off of the bones, and this is what I have left. Now, when you freeze dry anything in the freeze dryer, I have a medium Harvest Right. You are not supposed to put over 2 pounds in each tray. I weighed our chicken and I have 6 pounds. So that's basically 2 pounds, but I have 4 trays, so I'm just going to kind of split it up. Also, I keep the dark meat and the white meat separate. When you freeze dry, oil and fats don't freeze dry well. So the white meat will stay longer, in storage, where your dark meat doesn't quite last as long. So I'm going to keep them separate and I'll bag them separate. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some paper towels and put them in the bottom of my trays. Like I said, the oil and fats don't freeze dry well. So this just helps to absorb any extra oils and fats. It just helps a little bit. So I'm going to take the chicken, put that, just spread it out. You don't want your chunks real thick, saucy. Just spread it out. Like I said, you don't want over 2 pounds per tray. You want a little bit smaller pieces and spread them out. You can do them smaller pieces. Just you don't want really like thick pieces. So just take this out. I did remove the skin on all of this because of the fats. And like that. So this I forgot to put paper towel. And I just, see how thick? You don't want a piece that thick. So I just kind of shred it really in big chunks. And when you rehydrate freeze-dried chicken, it's just like the day that you cooked it. Put it in a little water, it absorbs the water, and it's awesome. That's really all you do. One of the things that I always tell people, one of the rules in freeze drying is if you freeze dry it raw, it's raw when you take it out of the bag. So you have to cook it. If it's cooked before, then you're good to go. When you label your bags, especially on raw food, always put raw chicken, raw eggs, anything like that. So, all right. Now, like I said, there will be 4 trays. I'm just going to do these couple of trays, and I will bring you back when I've finished all the trays. All right, so I have everything in the trays. I ended up with 3 trays with white meat and 1 tray with dark. Like I said before, I keep them separate because that has a little more fat and oils in the dark meat, and it doesn't last as long in storage. Still lasts a long time, just not as long as like the white meat would be. When I freeze dry my food, I will take anything that I put in the trays and I will get them in my freezer first. I'll pre-freeze it usually overnight. That way it takes less time to freeze dry, because in the freeze dryer it actually takes it down to like minus 40 degrees. And if it's already frozen, it just takes that, you know, like I think I did one without freezing it and it took like 8 hours extra when I didn't pre-freeze. Could be different for different people, depends on where you are, your weather, all that stuff. But anyway, so before I pre-freeze, I have these trays from Harvest Right. These are wonderful. You can actually freeze dry with this in the freeze dryer. You can use this as a tray. So like if I just had these 4 trays and I was trying to get something else ready to pre-freeze, say if I had sliced squash, I could just fill this up, put it in the freezer, and then put this directly into the freeze dryer. So since I don't have a lot of room in my freezer, I take this, I will put this on, and then I will take another tray and just sit it right there. And that way it keeps the food so you don't smash the food. And I'll take this, put that on, and put that like that. And it is ready to go in my freezer. Alrighty, so it is ready to go in the freezer. And I just pulled my I got 2 little shelves in there. Like I said, this has 2 in a stack. Put that there. Pull out my other little tray. And I put my 2 trays right there. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of room. So there we go. That's all you do. And I let this stay in there overnight. So now it's time to turn the freeze dryer on. We've had our chicken in the freezer, so it's ready to get started in the freeze dryer. So I'll turn this freeze dryer on. There's a button in the back. Just reach back there and turn it on. What I like to do is I let my freeze dryer get down to about 20 degrees before I put the chicken into the freeze dryer. So what it does is you'll see the screen comes up, it says customize and start. Now mine, we've had about a year. I got ours September of 21. So mine is fairly new. My machine does not ask you if it's frozen or not. So I'll show you how this screen works on mine. So this is what my screen says. So just to let you know, when you get a freeze dryer, I always have my extra dry time set at 12 hours. Just in case when it's finished and I'm in bed, I don't have to get up in the middle of the night. I just, let it go till in the morning. Or, if it finishes during the day and you're at work and you don't want it to finish and then you come home and it's been done for a while, it's a whole nother lesson on when it's finished and you're not home and it goes back down to really cold. I don't like doing that. So anyway, I set my extra dry time at 12 hours. You can stop the process at any time during that extra dry time. So if you want to change it, you just hit, you can add 30 minutes increments. You can go 14 hours, you can go 16, 18, you can go down, whatever. But like I said, I leave mine at 12. The rest of this, I leave it the way it was. I believe that's factory setting. So anyway, I hit save and it goes back to the main screen. And so I just hit start. And then, well, it says 15 minutes before loading the trays, but like I said, I let mine cool down to about 20 degrees, but I'll show you how that works. So anyway, just let it go. Right now it is at 80 degrees, and I'll come back when it's ready to put in. Alright, so I'm going to get my pre-frozen chicken, and this is cooked chicken. And get that ready for the freeze dryer. So that is ready to go in the freeze dryer. Alright, it's actually down to 8 degrees, which is okay. I try to get it down to at least 20. Put my chicken in there. And I always make sure that the ring, the rubber gasket, is out on mine. They're all maybe a little finicky about certain things. Make sure there's no crumbs or anything on the rubber ring. I'll push that. Now this does say, this tells you once you've loaded your trays in your freeze dryer, you will close the drain valve. The drain valve is located on the left side of the machine towards the bottom on the side. Alright, now that I have the drain valve closed, I will hit continue. And then I just leave it alone. Alrighty, the whole process took 24 hours and 56 minutes, but that included 4 hours of extra dry time. So at this point, you have to go and turn the drain valve off to release the pressure. At that point, then you can hit the cancel button and you can open the door and start unloading your trays. Alright, once your trays are out, it will now ask you no defrost, more dry time, which is where if you don't think it's dry, you can extend the time, and you can defrost it, which you would have to close it and it will heat it up, defrost it faster, but it's at night, so I'm going to choose no defrost, and the machine will turn off and I'll let it defrost on its own. They are finished. So now it is time to either bag or jar up these chicken strips. These are freeze dried. So I'm kind of glad this happened, just to show you what can happen and things that you should check for. These look done. They're nice and just brittle, super brittle. I was going to bag these up in mylar bags, and I have had an issue with mylar bags on Amazon having pinholes in them. So I ordered from a different company that I've heard, good reviews on. So I just opened these, was going to put the chicken in, and I'm going to show you, always check your mylar bags. So what I do is I have the lights on, I take a bag, open it, and I put it on one eye and put it like against my face. So all I see is black inside of the mylar bag. And with the light, you hold it up to the light like that. And you can see, if you see light through the bottom, they have holes. It had holes. I tried the bigger one. I also tried the smaller ones, which are really good for like single meal prep, if you want to do that, they had holes. I'm not going to name the company. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I'll never tell you to use a product that I don't approve of, and I'm going to see what the company does, how they respond, because I'm not real happy with these mylar bags. They're nice and thick, but every one that I've checked has a pinhole. What does that do? Over long-term storage, a tiny pinhole. You've worked hard, you spent a lot of money on your food preps. Air and oxygen can get in that hole and ruin your chicken or whatever you do. So I'm going to have to go back to trusty jars. These are half gallons. So I'm going to use a funnel, and there's 3 of these that are the white chicken, and I had the paper towels. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use my hands. But put those right in the bag. And I tell people too, when you're freeze drying items, make sure that when they come out of the freeze dryer, you get them in whatever you're going to use, whether it be mylar bags or jars. Get them done quickly, because the longer they sit out in the air, and you have moisture in the air, especially where I live, it's very humid, it will start absorbing moisture. And moisture is not your friend in freeze drying. So I just tap it down so it'll kind of pack down in there a little bit. And just keep filling these jars till you get all that in there. Now, you can push this down in here, but you got to be really careful, because this is so brittle that it will turn this chicken to powder. So you just have to be real careful. I try to like tap it so it kind of falls down in the jar. And I think that's all I'm going to be able to get in there without just cramming it in there. So then make sure that you put an oxygen absorber in the jar or your mylar bag, either one. This size, I put a 300 cc oxygen absorber. You can put it in the bottom, you can put it in the top, doesn't matter. Put your lid on and you're finished. Alright, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the bottom. You can do that, doesn't matter. Just make sure when you're finished and you have any left, seal this up quickly, because it will ruin if you don't get it in it out of the oxygen. Alright, so I'm going to continue to bag this up. Put all of this in here. And remember, earlier in the video I said I was going to bag all of the white meat together. So I'm going to do that. I'm hoping that I can get all this in one jar. There, you can tap it lightly like that. And if you do that occasionally, usually you can get a little bit more in the jar. So, but like I said, always check your mylar bags, always, because I'm not sure how much I did before I started checking, but one day I just thought, yeah, I'm just going to check, because I was seeing people's reviews saying that their mylar bag had pinholes, and I checked. Sure enough, they had pinholes. So probably the food that I did using those mylar bags, more than likely, over long term, it's not going to be good. So I'm not happy. I mean, I kind of expect them on Amazon and you're not sure, you know, of the company and where it's coming from. Which, don't we know it always comes from there? But, anyway. So, that's got that one. I already have the mylar bag, or the oxygen absorber in this one. It's at the bottom. Make sure you put that on quickly. And I believe I don't have, well I do, but I'm not going to use another one of my half-gallon jars. They're hard to come by. So I'm going to put another oxygen absorber in this quart jar. And this is the dark meat. And it doesn't seem to be really oily. I'll show you the napkin when I get finished. Jeez, I'm making a mess. Actually, there is quite a bit of oil on that, so maybe it did its job. Yep, it's a mess, but oh well. But these will be really good. You know, like if you want a chicken sandwich, you can just get some out of a jar, rehydrate it, put your little mayonnaise in it, whatever you do to make it, you know, a chicken salad, chicken sandwich, whatever. And it's a quick little meal. So, like I said, I can't push this down too much because it will like turn it to dust, because it is like just super light. Alright, I gotta find a lid for that. But I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. And wow, I don't know if you can see the oil on that in the camera. I'm not sure. But anyway, it is on there, so that helped a little bit. So I'm going to finish these up. I'm going to finish jarring these, the dark meat up, and I'll be back. Well, I'm done. Got them all put in jars. Now next, I will take this little gadget from Food Saver, and I will actually put on here, take my Food Saver, attach it to these jars, and remove the oxygen also that way. You don't have to do that because these oxygen absorbers will do that for you, and it'll also do that in a bag. And if you do use a mylar bag, which I was going to, make sure that you seal it up. You zip it up if it's a, you know, has the little zipper on there. You take your heat sealer, seal the top really good, and you're good to go. If you don't have holes in your bags, well, we'll see how that goes. So that's it. A catastrophe. It could have been pretty bad. I ended up with freeze-dried chicken that'll last for quite a long time. Now, I know that a lot of people, you know, talk about they would love to get a freeze dryer, and it is pretty pricey. But I would encourage you guys, if there's any way at all, every household should have a freeze dryer. It's like critical. It just ups your prep game. And if you can't afford one, which we had to make some sacrifices to be able to get ours, maybe check with a family member. See if somebody will go in, you know, halves with you, and you know, y'all work something out, because it's an amazing machine. If you want to click on the link below, it'll take you to the Harvest Right website, and you can check out what they have there. And I will say that the Harvest Right mylar bags, I've never had an issue with those mylar bags. But it seems like all these others, I've yet to find one that I really like. I mean, they've been okay. I've found a bunch that didn't have holes, but now I'm finding a lot with pinholes. So check your bags, every single bag, before you use them, because it could ruin everything that you've done all this work. Thank you so much for watching Down on the Homestead. Make sure to like, subscribe, and click that little bell so you'll be notified when we upload any new videos. And make sure you tune in to part 3 of Canning Emergencies. We'll be canning chicken on the bone. It'll be good. Have a good one. Be blessed and get your house in order. Like now.